Hey folks, it's Fernando doing another video for More Survivalist. I was recently reading a post in a survival forum asking about living in a war zone, survival in a war zone. It's understandable that given world events today, you have the situation in Ukraine, in Iraq, other places, that people are wondering how do you survive those things. And this is something that I have done quite a bit of research for in my second book, Bugging Out and Relocating, learning, researching different events, how people got through them. Long story short is that you don't do living or surviving in such conditions. It's like asking how you live in a war zone is like asking how you live inside a burning house or how you survive inside a sinking boat. There's not living or surviving to be done in those places. There's getting out of there to be done. All right. And actually in my book I have a good example of that. It's in page 171. It says, Seinat Akras, a 65-year-old pharmacist, she stayed in the ancient quarters of the central Syrian city of Homs when the government sieged the city. Akras and her two brothers did not escape like most other residents because they wanted to protect their two-story home and two shops, a pharmacy and clothing store. They had plenty of food, fuel, and other supplies, but the starving rebel fighters ended up looting their home and shop on several occasions. They still managed to survive, scrounging for food and firewood, eating wild plants, dandelions, chicory, and mallow her brother Ayman picked in the local cemetery. Agras refused to look in the mirror, afraid that her withered estate might break her spirit. By the time the siege ended and the government took control of the city, 700 days had passed. Agras had withered from about 127 pounds, 58 kilos, when the blockage began, to 75 pounds, 34 kilos. This is a good example of the course of action being clearly that you have to leave. You don't have to stay. No matter how much resources you have, how much food you have stockpiled, even how many guns and ammunition you have, you don't stay when surrounded by hostile forces, when overwhelmed by hostile forces. You're either going to be getting killed, which is probably the most likely outcome, or you're going to be reduced to surviving like a caged animal, little by little, starving, running out of resources, being attacked, having everything taken away from you because you don't have ways of defending yourself against such odds, overwhelmed in such a way. So it's very clear that what you have to do is leave. All right. It's a very clear example. Unless you have a certain role you're playing, you're a soldier in the invading force or the defending force, unless you have a specific role like that, in which case you don't have the option, you're following orders. But if you're not following orders and you are looking to survive such a situation, you get out of there. And basically it comes down to pretty simple steps, 3 of them. First one is having an evacuation plan, knowing what is it that you're going to be doing. In the most simple of cases, you're going to be at least having a route you're going to be taking to an airport, you're going to be getting into a plane, and you're going to be having a place to go to once you evacuate, once you leave that country. All right, either that or you're going to be heading to a port, you're going to be traveling to a border. You need, first of all, step number 1 is actually having a plan of a course of action of what to do if such a situation takes place. Second is actually having the resources to execute that plan. Most simple of terms, here at the very least we're talking about having a passport for each family member and having the money so as to buy those plane tickets and get yourself out of there. Right, that would be at minimum what you would be needing. Depending on the plan, if you are thinking of maybe traveling longer distances, you're going to be needing a vehicle, you're going to be needing fuel. If you're thinking of heading to a port and leaving through using a boat, you're going to be needing a boat to do so. So you have to understand, first of all, the plan you're going to be having. Second, the resources you're going to be needing to execute that plan. And here it's important to mention again the importance of a passport. Again, the most simple way of getting out of a country, heading to the nearest airport, the nearest international airport, getting yourself out of there. fast, efficient way of doing so. You do need that passport ahead of time. A lot of you guys don't have your passports. It's something that you definitely have to work on and get right now before you actually need it. I get it that, you know, if some people say, I'm not thinking of leaving, I'm not thinking of doing this or that. It doesn't matter what you're thinking of right now. What matters is what you may end up needing in the future, and because you didn't plan ahead of time, because you didn't bother doing it right now, you're left without that very important tool. Okay, anyone that has experience in traveling, in emergencies where they need to move fast, you do need your passport. So that would be a very important step to go for. Then of course having the resources in terms of money to get the tickets, to get yourself out of there, and of course having a place to go to. Finally, point number 3, maybe one of the most important ones, actually a key point, is information. Staying informed so as to know when to leave. All right, this is a key aspect without which everything else will fall apart. Even if you may have the plan, you may have the resources, but if you don't have the intel, if you don't have the information, you're not going to be leaving in time. And an hour too late, a day too late makes all the difference in the world between leaving or not, getting killed or not, or getting sieged for God knows how long or not. So it's about having a plan, it's about having the resources. Most of all, it's about having the information, staying updated, following up with the news, and finally being able to make a decision based on that information that you've collected, that you have, and you are constantly working on staying updated on. All right, folks, that's all for now. That's gonna be all. Remember to subscribe, like the video if you did like it. Take care, have a great day, and see you on our next video. Have a great day.